Hello, podcast world, fellow horticulturists, lovers of plants, gardeners, family, and friends. Welcome to Shrubby Buddies, the podcast, friends with woodies for garden goodies. I'm host Matt Guthrie.
And I'm host Tim Fleischer. Coming at you from Central Ohio, Zone 6B. We're just a couple of public horticulturists and certified arborists with experience in education, landscape design, gardening, retail, and wholesale.
So grab a drink, polish your printers, dust off that kneeling pad, and let's get down to business. Hey, podcast world, and welcome to episode 1 of Shrubby Buddies. It's the podcast about all things horticulture. We're going to talk plants. We're going to talk tools, tips, tricks, lots of general nonsense. So I am one of 2 hosts. My name is Matt Guthrie, and I am joined with
Tim Fleischer here.
And so Tim and I have talked about doing this for a couple of years now, and it's finally happening. Neither one of us know what the hell we're doing right now. Just a couple of buffoons sitting in front of mics talking about plants. So episode 1.
I have no idea what's going on right now. My palms are super sweaty, but we're gonna dive right in here.
Yeah, we each have a beer in hand, and just to help calm the nerves. So yeah, what is episode 1, Tim? First episode ever. What are we going to discuss?
So today we're going to get into April. So April showers bring May flowers, right? Well, today we're going to talk about April showers bringing April flowers, because why wait till May when there's plenty of things blooming out there right now? So
yeah, for sure. I agree completely. So we've just got some perennials here that we're going to talk about, maybe a few trees, maybe a few shrubs. It's going to be injecting color into the garden for that early season. So we're just going to dive right in on this and get started, I guess. I don't know.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. So first up, we're going to talk about Amsonia. Specifically a cultivar that we've used, called Stormcloud. And I don't know what to say about it other than wow. I've got some growing in the garden, used it at work, in different plantings. And it's one of those early season plants that, when it starts to emerge, it shoots up these they look like black fingers coming out of the ground, like these little zombie hands or something.
Hence the name Sword of Cobb.
Yeah.
Though maybe zombie fingers would have been better.
Yeah, Amsonia zombie fingers. So PW, if you're hearing this, change it to zombie fingers. 2 foot by 2 foot shrub. Like we said, the black. And then the top of that, this time of the year, it gets this like pale blue flower. So like many of the other Amsonias that are out there, blue stars, commonly called blue stars. It gets this early season pale blue flower. And then after it's done flowering and we move into the summertime, it's just kind of got this nice green, olive green foliage. I don't know, fall color, a nice yellow fall color like the other Amsonias. So
if I could say something about Amsonias, is that this guy across from me, Matt, he's obsessed with Amsonia. In fact, we could do a whole show on Amsonias, and we probably will.
Yeah.
A is for Amsonia. So, look forward to that coming up. But Matt loves his Amsonias. And, this time of year, Stormcloud is the one that we're noticing. They're not quite blooming just yet, all the Amsonias, but that Stormcloud's coming up with its dark foliage and its real light blue flowers just about to open, and you definitely notice that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. What's another nice thing about it too is it's a U.S. native, right? So it's a native R. Can tolerate poor soils, great fall color. I mean, nothing we can really knock on this plant. Use it, buy it, use it. Any of the Amsonias, but today we were specifically talking about storm cloud as being kind of one of those early season of interest perennials. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Love Amsonia. So I don't know if there's a transition, but transitioning to Geranium maculatum, it's our native wild geranium, and it's similar to the Amsonia in that the cultivar called espresso is something I'm madly in love with. I love this plant. So we're all familiar with geraniums, perhaps. It's a pretty big genus. We have a lot of different geraniums. There's the bedding geraniums, which I think a lot of people use in the summertime, but those are annuals here in these parts. But the native geranium is a lovely. It's more of a spring ephemeral in the wild, but in the garden you can get the full season out of it and some sporadic blooms throughout the season. But I love this espresso. The foliage is just as it sounds. It's got that coffee-like color. It's brown, almost a purple, and dainty little pink flowers sit above it. But what's another thing that's great about espresso geranium is its ability to grow in sun or shade. So I think in the wild it's kind of on the edge of woodlands, so it's getting quite a bit of shade, but it also has a little bit of sun coming through, and it's blooming now. In the garden, you can have it in full sun or full shade, although if you're going to put it in full sun, a lot of heavy watering early in the season is always a good idea until it's established, because I've seen it definitely droopy, this time of year when we're getting full sun on these warm days. But love that geranium. Deer resistant. It's not super aggressive like some of the other geraniums we use in the garden. It's a nice native that the wildlife will love.
And that's one you have in the front of your house, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like along your front sidewalk and stuff.
I have it in the front of my house. It's in full bloom right now. It's spectacular. And then when it loses those flowers, it just looks really nice against my brick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So espresso, there's the one that Proven Winners has. It's what is it? Bloom Chocolata.
Yeah.
What's the
Boom Chocolata?
Yeah, what's the difference between I'm not super familiar with the Boom Chocolata. I know it's a Proven Winner.
Yeah, the Boom Chocolata is a lovely plant with a similar foliage and similar bloom color, but it's not a native. Not that you're going to learn. We're not all 100% in on all native all the time. I mean, as long as it's not invasive, it might be on our list. But that Boom Chocolata is lovely, but I've just always loved this espresso.
Yeah. I need to get some. I have we were walking outside of the house today, looking at some of the stuff that I've got going on in the garden, and I think that would be a good one for me to add, right? Espresso, like maybe in some of the shadier areas.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you have to mix up the foliage color. It can't be all green.
Yeah, I like the pink flower, that's backdropped by that dark foliage. I think that's super cool for sure. Yep. So yeah, so we'll move along to another one. Another one of my favorites, early season, does well in the shade would be the Brunera or Siberian bud gloss. There's there's a handful of really good cultivars out there. There's like Jack of Diamonds, Queen of Hearts, Jack Frost, the different ones. And we're not going to dive into any specifics, one cultivar to the next. With it, it's all still going to be a very similar plant from one cultivar to the next. Big difference if maybe one have a little bit more of the silver variegation in the leaf, or the leaf size is much larger. But yeah, so like I said, shade perennial, comes up super early. One of the first things that's going to flower in your garden. Gets another small pale blue flower on it, but it kind of loads itself up with those pale blue flowers. And when you plant them in mass, it really, brightens up the front of your house or the perennial border this time of the year. And then it's just got this really cool kind of heart-shaped leaf that's this fuzzy, pubescent foliage. It's got this this like silvery like variegation on the leaf. And it holds that variegation all summer long. Maybe if it gets a little dry, the edges of the leaf will burn a little, or if it's getting a little too much sun, you'll get like some brown, crispy edges on it. But yeah, what a great plant, just is a real banger in the shade garden. I love using them in mass and just kind of weaving them through stuff, pairing them up with different caryxes and different hostas and the spidgies, the spigilias, and all of that good stuff. So I know you're looking at me like you want to say something.
I'm dying to comment on this.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I believe caryx plural is cari.
Maybe.
Yeah,
cari. Yeah, we'll go with it.
Fungus, fungi, along those lines.
Caryx, cari.
But Brunera really checks all the boxes for a shade perennial. You have big, chunky foliage, which you don't often see in the shade, apart from hostas, of course. But you just have this really big, chunky foliage that can break up some of the daintier foliage you see. And then it's variegated, so you have this bright white silver just shining through. And then Matt mentioned the flowers. He referred to them as pale blue. I'd call them a little more on the sky blue side of things.
Yeah, probably so. I'm not good with my colors. I'm not like, maybe, yeah, we'll go with sky blue.
You're not colorblind.
No, I'm not colorblind. What's periwinkle? Is that more of like a purpley blue?
Perhaps periwinkle.
I don't know. We'll just roll with sky blue.
Yeah, I mean, those flowers brighten. Oh, I do a lot of things to this plant. That's for sure, especially when it's in bloom. But when it's blooming, the foliage kind of stays out of the way. The foliage is smaller, and the flowers sit right above the foliage. And then when it's done blooming, that's when the foliage grows. It's the leaves go, triple, quadruple in size. And like Matt said, ribboning them around the garden, just using them in mass. I know that you've recently done a planting with these, Matt, and you had some, clumps of heuchera, and you had some clumps of caryx throughout,
and Aruncus. Don't forget Aruncus.
I can't forget the goat. But yeah, that Brunera just kind of ribbons through there, and right now, man, it's a nice ribbon.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's a good ribbon.
I feel about ribbons.
Oh yeah, Guard, you like your ribbons, and yeah, thanks for stealing my thunder on the Brunera.
My pleasure.
Yep. So, yeah, why not? I mean, you're on a roll. Why don't you just go on with another one? I see one on this list we're looking at that you're just dying to talk about, and when you do talk about this, I want you to list off like every single common name that you know about it. All right,
I know where he's going with this. So yeah, since we're talking about shade perennials, then why not talk about epimedium? Epimedium rubra is the Latin. It goes by barrenwort as well, and yeah, it's a lovely shade plant, but
only barrenwort?
No, I'm getting there.
Okay,
I'm getting right there.
All right.
It's a lovely shade plant that it requires some time. It's a slow one, but I think the real reason you should be planting this are the common names that are associated with it. So, like I said, we've got barrenwort, but it also goes by randy beefgrass and horny goatweed. So, I don't know. There's a lot of goofy names of plants, whether it's the Latin name or the common name, but horny goatweed and randy beefgrass, come on. Those,
I mean, clearly,
the list.
We're all going to get a laugh out of horny goatweed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but randy beefgrass? Come on.
Yeah, and here's
what are we talking
Here's the thing. I know a couple guys named Randy. Looks nothing like Randy. It's not a grass. It doesn't even look like a grass. So I don't know where that comes from. In the beef part, I don't know. I don't eat it or grill it, so I'm not sure where that comes from. But oftentimes when I see these goofy names, I have to look them up. Like, why is it named that? I'm sure there's a good reason why a plant has this weird name, and there's always a logical reason pertaining to the person that named it or something along those lines. But I don't want to look these up. I want it to be a mystery to me. I want it to just be somebody gave it a funny name, and I like that. But as far as the attributes of the plants go, Matt, did you want to comment? I mean, it's a lovely shade perennial blooming right now in our area.
Yeah. So we're in Central Ohio. We are now zone 6B. USDA just changed us from 6A to 6B. 6B. Won't be long. We'll be growing some crepe myrtles up this way. But kind of a ground cover foliage, slow to start. I know I've used it a bunch, and it's just one of those ones you have to give time. You're not gonna put it in the ground, and this thing's not gonna just take off like a weed and cover a big area. You got to give it a few years to really get going. But yeah, it's got these really cool small orchid-like flowers that just kind of think of like grapes on a grapevine, and they kind of remind me of that, like just the way these little orchid flowers just kind of run down.
Except they're not shaped like grapes. They're shaped like a bishop's hat, which there's a fourth common name we're coming out with here, bishop's hat, which I don't know what a bishop's hat looks like off the top of my head, but I'm assuming it looks like the flowers here because that's a common name there.
Yeah. So yeah, just really nice kind of there again, like a heart-shaped kind of foliage. Ground cover doesn't get super tall. You can get it in all kinds of different flower colors. Heck, they've even got one now that's called like sandy claws. No, what's it called? Crab claw. What's the one? It's got like a red serrated kind of foliage. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the name of that, but yeah,
it's sandy claws. Like it's not Sandy Claus. That's like Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
What is it?
There's often a maroon color in the foliage, which is another feature that just makes it interesting. So and it can fade as the season goes on, or some hold on to it. And a lot of the newer cultivars have much bigger flowers. So if you come upon it in an old flower bed, it's the ones with the very small flowers, which are still lovely, but these new ones have not huge flowers. Okay, don't take me too much out of context here, but bigger flowers than the norm.
Yeah, it's a lovely plant. I like using it. I love it. And some of the areas that we have it in at work, just does really well. Pairs nice with things. I've got some planted where I've got these really cool tulips that are just kind of dancing up through it. And I just love that planting. So Randy beefgrass, that's what I'm going to call it. Horny goatweed, Randy beefgrass. So I'm looking down through this list here.
So as you look down through your list, let me just say something here. We've talked about some perennials. Are there any trees on this list that
there are?
You want to skip to? Because
of course there are.
I feel like we need. So I feel like these people want to hear about a tree.
Yeah. So there's one of my favorite trees. Is Cornus Florida, or our native white flowering dogwood. They're flowering right now here in Central Ohio, all through our wooded areas along the edge of the woodlots. And what a fantastic tree. I mean, this time of the year, it's like we were talking the other day at work about how this time of the year, I see those things and I'm just reminded, like, wow, like this is why I love dogwoods. There's nothing prettier, in my opinion, than driving through like an old neighborhood with the, these old houses or older homes, and they have these big, beautiful white flowering dogwoods kind of tucked up close to the house in the shade. And it's just like, boom, here I am. And so Cornus Florida, white flowering dogwood gets the big white bracts, not technically the flower, but we'll call it that.
Just to clarify that the flower is the portion in the middle that's not showy, that the bees are attracted to.
Yeah.
But the big white or red or pinkish petals that you see are actually specialized leaves called bracts. So I assume they're
Little knowledge nugget, little science knowledge nugget there.
not actually the flower, but very close to the flower and what we, typically refer to as the flower.
Yeah, the average person's going to see that and consider it a flower, and that's fine. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'm calling it a bloom.
But yeah, and then just a really nice tree, through the season, and beautiful fall color on it. Now the Cornus Florida, which is our native dogwood here in the United States, tree type dogwood, not shrub type dogwood, flowers and then leaves. And then there's the Kusa dogwoods, which leaf and then flower. They're a non-native dogwood, and they flower a little bit later. So you're going to see those guys flower like more into May. So right now we're talking April showers bring April flowers. We're talking specifically about Cornus Florida, white flowering dogwood. Full sun to part shade, edge of woods tree, tolerates lots of soil types, medium water needs, excellent fall color. And there's been, discussion about how well it does in the landscape because of anthracnose issues, dogwood anthracnose. And it is a thing, but there's been some really good breeding going on where they're kind of making these more disease resistant. So one that comes to mind is like the Appalachian Spring is a new line or series or whatever you want to call it, a new cultivar of our Cornus Florida white flowering dogwood that is disease resistant. It's more resistant, very resistant to the dogwood anthracnose. So yeah, you got anything to say about white flowering dogwood?
Yeah, so as far as diseases go, it's important to remember in plants that diseases and pests and pathogens, they want to get after the things that are struggling, that are maybe already sick and not doing so well. So if you keep a healthier plant, it might be less susceptible to these diseases. And with these dogwoods, they can tolerate some dry soil on the drier end, but what they don't like, our native dogwoods, our Cornus Florida, they don't like compaction. So they hate the heavy soil, but if then you compact that heavy soil if you have it in a place where the soil has just been replaced by clay, maybe a new build, and it's just been tamped down by equipment, not a good spot. And I think that's why some of these older ones are doing so well, because they were planted long ago, and there's just not been, they've just not had as much trauma to the root zone. The other thing that I think is important to mention, it's not important to mention, but I'm going to mention it anyway, is there has been a name change on the Cornus Florida.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. I mean,
here we go.
I still call it Cornus Florida, but all the dogwoods were shuffled around. We got lots of dogwoods. We got the big shrubbies, erosion control dogwoods. We've got the red twig dogwoods. We've got the little ground cover dogwoods up north.
Yeah, one of my favorite. Yeah.
I wish we could grow that.
Oh yeah, don't you know, up there in the UP at Michigan?
Right. Right up there, and up in the UP and Canada and whatnot. What would we call that one? Cornus.
Bunchberry.
Yeah,
it's
bunchberry.
I just drew a blank. What is that one? Anyways, keep talking. I'm gonna look this up.
Either way, it's the genus is has a lot going on in it.
Cornus canadensis. Yeah,
Canada. So it's a big genus with a lot of different things going on, and they decide, the scientists decided they weren't, similar enough to keep them all in Cornus, so they split them up. And long story long, sorry about that. We've changed Cornus Florida to Benthamidia Florida.
So, get out of here! Come on.
But I'll continue to call it Cornus till somebody yells at me about it, and then I might
a botanist or somebody
all the time. But
yeah.
And one last thing is about this tree is the horizontal shape. So it's got another tree we might get into today is a red bud. It has a very vase shape to it, at least if it's pruned properly. But
why don't you just
jump into it.
Do your thing you're doing right now with the cornice. Okay, finish up with this mumbo jumbo, and then you just boom lead right into another tree, redbud. Yeah, I mean, because in my opinion, like they go hand in hand, redbuds and dogwoods. So
yeah, cornice Florida, just a nice horizontal shape. So the branches kind of, as the tree ages, they kind of spread horizontally, and it's a nice feature of the plant. But yeah, so I guess we'll jump into redbud, which kind of has an opposite form, more of an upright tree. But regarding redbud, it's a superior tree, is it not?
No, I think so completely.
There's this canadensis.
Mm-hmm.
There's another canadensis,
yep.
which I think's odd because I don't think it's very prevalent in Canada. I think that it loses its cold tolerance.
Yeah, well, yeah. So that would be like why. If you look at availability lists, in the wholesale, you see like here in Ohio, we see like all of the different cultivars, Cercis canadensis, alley cat, flamethrower,
Carolina sweetheart.
What's the one? Forest pansy. There's all these different ones. Merlot, yeah. But there is one that we get that it's just the Minnesota strain, is what they call it for its cold hardiness, because a lot of those other ones just aren't as cold hardy the further north you go. I think probably once you get past like much past zone 5 or 4, I would imagine, right? That you lose some of that cold hardy. I don't know.
If that, I have some friends, a friend from Wisconsin, and her dad has a forestry background, and when she moved down here to Columbus, he helped her. And when he came down, I remember 2 things he told me. He said he's not very familiar with redbuds or sycamores. Those are 2 things that they don't have way up there. Granted, he's from the furthest north reaches of Wisconsin you can get to, but yeah, they don't have those things up there. And I guess I didn't realize that till he said that. But yeah, so I don't know, we were going down a little rabbit hole there with the hardiness, but
yeah,
I do know we had a winter, back when I was working part-time at the garden center to earn more money to buy a home.
Yeah.
We had that one winter where we had the polar vortex come through.
Snow rollers.
Yeah.
Hashtag snow rollers.
Yeah. Snow rollers. Google that. We could do a whole episode on snow rollers, but it wouldn't really fit to our theme here.
No, that'd be fun.
It would certainly be fun. But where was I even going? Oh yeah, this polar vortex. So
yeah,
I do remember a lot of people coming in talking about they lost their redbuds, which a lot of them weren't just newly planted. They were pretty established redbuds. So we did have a kill that year. I don't remember what that was. 2014, 15?
13, winter of 13 to 14, I think. Okay. Yeah. And it got nasty cold.
It stayed cold.
Yeah, and it stayed cold.
It was so cold it didn't snow, and I didn't know that was a thing. But like when it gets too cold, it just doesn't snow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were close to absolute zero, right?
Yeah.
The temperature.
Yeah, negative 271 Kelvin.
Close. Yeah, like day after tomorrow stuff. Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal, I saw him running through the streets. So, yeah. But go on.
Is he alive?
Yeah.
Or is that okay, I was going to say too soon, but...
No, not too soon.
Didn't someone pass away?
Oh, I mean, a lot of people have.
All right, I'm terrible with Hollywood.
His pop culture is not great, clearly. So, yeah, keep going on with your redbuds. I know there's some... maybe hit on a couple of the cultivars. I know one cultivar that we all love dearly, and you have like the best example at your house. But
yeah, so thanks for that setup. So redbuds, right? They are just fantastic trees. They're native trees that bloom a lovely pink, almost a light purple, and they are blooming right now. They're just passing their peak about the same time as crab apples around here. And crab apples are, kind of rubbish trees, in my opinion. I think we can do better. So I think redbud is that better. And one of the reasons is that redbuds have a good full season interest. You get maybe 2 weeks out of a crab apple, depending on the wind and the weather. and then it's done. Then it's done looking good. Then it just like looks like rubbish. But with a red bud, you've got blooms that are attached tightly to the stems, so the weather doesn't affect them too much. Then after those blooms fade, it starts to leaf out, and you get these big, beautiful heart-shaped leaves, a straight species, almost a bluish green. And as we move into winter, just a nice shape, just a nice vase-shaped tree, as long as it's pruned properly. But what Matt was getting at with the cultivars is that there's so many things you can do with a red bud. So there's red buds with purple leaves and variegated leaves, white variegation and pink variegation, a little bit of both. You can have weeping red buds and white flowering red buds and weeping white flowering red buds.
Oh, yeah.
What's that one called?
I don't know, probably like Snow Fountain or something weird. I don't know.
No, that would be a cherry, but what I'm getting at is there's so much you can do, and the cultivar I love that sits in front of my house and has been there for almost 10 years is the
Vanilla Twist.
Vanilla Twist.
Vanilla Twist is the white weeper.
That's the white weeper.
Yeah, and
that's what they called me in 10th grade.
Yeah, white weeper. They called me the White Reaper. Yeah.
We didn't get a good pair, but we didn't know each other back then.
Nope.
So could have done a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But yeah, the variegation on the Alley Cat is so stable. It's beautiful. It's you just have to Google it. Google Alley Cat Redbud. It's incredible what that variegation looks like. So as you move out of the flowers, you still have a lovely foliage, and it makes a good talking point in your gardens. And like I said, that the knock on red buds is they're short-lived and they can grow a little bit wonky, but I think that if you properly prune them, you can get more years out of them, and they can age gracefully.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and the red bud cultivars that they're coming out with, it's just like...
Yeah, we'll probably do a whole show on it.
Yeah, I mean, we really could do a whole show on red buds because it's...
Mark it down.
It's crazy. All of the cultivars are coming out with every single year. Plants Nouveau's released some, like, what was the one? Zigzag. And it literally looks like a damn zigzag. The twig, that how they kind of zigzag to begin with.
It's like a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Should have named it lightning bolt.
Yeah.
But
there you go, Plants Nouveau, lightning bolt. But yeah, Whitewater's one that I think of. That is a weeper with the variegated foliage like Alley Cat. It's called Whitewater.
You're doing things to me when you say that.
I know. I can't find it anywhere. I've just seen it like in pictures, but it's a thing. It's a thing. So, yeah. So there, Tim hit on the old red buds. What a fantastic tree. I can't use them enough. I work part-time at a local greenhouse here, helping a buddy out. Selling plates and stuff, and man, the people that come in that, oh, I want my white flowering cherry tree, and it's like, get out of here with that. Like, let's get you a weeping red bud. Just such, and if you have the white weeping cherry tree, like, I apologize for that. No offense to that, but like, there's just better options out there. And red buds, there's red buds that, that fit that
Yeah, we'll probably, when we do our plant this, not that episode, we'll probably get into, why maybe we're not going to do a cherry and we're going to do a red bud.
A red bud stud, yeah, for sure. So, cool. So I'm looking down through our list here. We don't want to take up too much of your time, so maybe we'll hit on like one or two more perennials and like, I don't know, one or two more trees and shrubs. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so couple perennials we want to hit on. We're going to go talk really quick about pulmonaria, and then I'm going to let Tim finish up on the perennials with some pulsatilla.
The double P's, P's.
Yeah, so pulmonaria.
Lungwort.
Lungwort is a common name for it. Similar to Brunera in that it's super early flowering, but rather than the not pale blue, but sky blue flowers. You corrected me on that earlier. Sky blue flowers.
You get the correction. It was just an
observation. Yeah, a different. Yeah. Okay. So rather than those blue flowers, you get these like pinks and purples and light pinks and neon pinks, and so you can get all these different color flowers.
Shrimps on the bobby.
Yeah, shrimps on the bar, and it's like the whole thing is just this like neon pink, and then you have some that are neon pink and purple, and then you have some that are like pale pink, and then you have some that are all purple or blue. But anyways, early season flower, likes the shade. Rather than the variegation on it's a little different. The leaf shape is more long and slender in form. And rather than mottled variegation, it's like polka dotted, silver polka dots on the foliage. So when it's done flowering, you're left with this nice deep green foliage with these silver polka dots on it. So it's seasonal interest, semi-evergreen. I mean, these things kind of hold some of that.
Especially this winter.
Yeah, if it's a mild winter, those things, they remain kind of green all winter long, which, there you go. There's another added bonus to it. Yeah, so pulmonaria longwort, lots of different cultivars. Does fine for dry, does great in dry shade.
Poster child.
Yeah,
Dry
poster
shade.
child for dry shade. Yeah, lots of cultivars, deer resistant.
And I'm going to even step it up and say deer proof. Because I'll say deer resistant a lot, and I'll still see where deer have tasted something. I'm going to call this one deer proof. So
yeah, the foliage on it's like real thick, chunky, but it's like covered with this just hairy, pubescent, fuzzy foliage that animals just don't like to eat on. I mean, it'd be like eating on a fuzzy salad. Who wants to eat a prickly, fuzzy salad? Not me. Do you want a fuzzy salad?
that sounds terrible. Honestly, I don't really want many salads.
What you want to eat on?
I'll take a potato salad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or a macaroni salad.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Keep the mayonnaise out of it, I suppose. Yeah. Give me potatoes.
Yeah. Pulsatilla.
Yeah. Deer proof. Yeah. Pulsatilla.
Yeah, are you gonna? I mean,
did you say pulsatilla?
Yeah, I want you to talk to these fine listeners about pulsatilla.
So we'll wrap up our perennials with pulsatilla, and it can pulse my tilla. I love that plant.
Whoa,
yeah, it can pulse my tilla, and
yeah, it can.
So we're talking early. Like this thing in my garden is just coming down off the blooming.
Yeah,
and what's unique about it is just the giant blooms on it, several inches across. And I'll back up. Dark red on mine. I use the red bells. Pulsatilla vulgaris, red bells. The straight species is more of a deep pink,
purple
color, almost a purple.
Yeah.
Depends as the flower fades, it might change a little bit. But I love this plant, and I feel like Matt has recently started to love this plant.
I have, yeah.
Because you used to hate it.
I didn't hate it. Like, hate's a strong word. Hate's a strong word.
He would scoff at it and say, I don't like little plants in my landscape.
Yeah, I like bold plants, first and foremost.
Oh, it's bold. It's just little.
It's bold and it's little. And I have this newfound love for it. Seeing it around, seeing it in some Instagram posts, and then Tim and his wife sending me pictures of what they have in their garden, and I'm just like, damn, I got to get that for mine. So I went out, I stopped at Mill Creek Gardens on Friday after work and bought a flat of it.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. I stopped at Mill Creek and bought, well, I guess I wouldn't say a full flat of it. I bought 9 quarts of it, and I'm just like, I'm not real sure where I'm going to use this at, but it's getting plugged into the perennial border.
Front of the border.
This spring. Yeah, front of the border is getting plugged in, and I'm just going to use it in some areas where other things can be allowed to kind of take it over. I want that early flower. I don't care about being able to see much of the foliage the rest of the year. I just want that early flower that this thing provides.
Matt doesn't. I like the foliage. It's very delicate and finely cut. Works really great in the front of the border, like you said, but these giant flowers that quickly turn into a tall stem with, it's almost like a cotton ball, but more delicate and wiry. Think truffula tree. It's like a truffula tree on a plant, right?
Truffula tree, yeah.
Yeah, truffula.
I mean, I like to think about wiry cotton balls, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I know you do, but that's another story altogether. But yeah, Pulsatilla vulgaris, just a fantastic perennial that I've always been in love with.
Yeah.
And does really well in full sun, and it can do well in some shade too, as long as it's not dry shade. It's not going to be like our pulmonaria where it's going to definitely peter out in the dry shade, but if you can keep it watered, it can definitely take some shade and still bloom quite reliably.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. So what, are we calling that a wrap on perennials then? Oh, some perennials? Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is podcast 1.
There's lots of perennials blooming right now.
Yeah. If we're going to dive into, we're going to talk perennials a lot.
Those were special to us.
And we'll talk more about perennials that bloom early in the season. I mean, like, we're going to do an episode. We could do a whole episode on hellebores, which we didn't even, because they would be even earlier than April.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking February, March on those guys.
Yeah, we missed. I mean, with this episode, we're missing that altogether.
Yeah,
and witch hazel, those things that bloom super duper early.
Yeah,
but we're in this kind of April zone right now.
Yeah, stay tuned. Stick with us for the better part of a year. So we'll talk about those maybe like next January, February.
Hold on to your panties.
Yeah.
For a year, at least.
All like 3 listeners that we're probably going to get. Stick with us. But yeah, so let's wrap up with just a couple quick, one shrub that I'll let you go on. And then I am going to talk about one native tree / shrub. I'll talk about Viburnum prunifolium or Black Haw Viburnum. We'll just roll right into it.
Yeah, do it.
12 foot by 12 foot edge of woods tree, similar to your dogwoods and redbuds. White flowering, beautiful fall color. Like I said, edge of woods, so full sun to part shade. Excellent early pollinator. Dry to medium water needs. Tolerant of lots of different soil types. What am I trying to say here? So it's typically like a multi-stemmed kind of tree, single stem kind of tree, shrubby thing that you would see in the woods or on the edge of the woods. But they're coming out with some tree form stuff now, which is going to have like a really solid single stem tree. The one I'm thinking of specifically is dark towers.
Towers.
And that I mentioned the fall color on these is fabulous. It's such a good fall color. The dark towers tree specifically would be a great street tree alternative if you don't want something massive in front of your house. It could be used as a small ornamental tree in the border. Really just anywhere you want. Just a really good, hardy, tolerant of about any BS you can throw at a tree.
Absolutely. And since it's an understory tree, it's doing pretty well in the shade. You might not get the full flower response, but you'll get plenty of blooms.
Yeah, I planted one specifically to see how it would do in the full shade, flowering one. I knew it would live, and it's living and it's growing. Doesn't flower as much. Real sporadic on the flowering, but that's okay. I mean, it's a tree that works in the full shade. What more could you ask for? The full shade can be tough when you're talking about trees and you're talking about shrubs. So, having just something else that you can throw in your bag. The fall color is still fabulous on it. Just doesn't flower as much. But yeah, Viburnum prunifolium. I've got some along the edge of my backyard right now that's flowering. We were just walking around looking at it before we started this podcast, and we were commenting on how nice of a shrub it is. So yeah, Black Haw Viburnum or Viburnum prunifolium.
It's a native viburnum and it's a tree form. It's even the native version is considered our only native tree form viburnum, but Dark Towers takes it to a new level because it's pruned and bred to be a single trunk tree with really nice form, and like Matt said, it has a variety of uses. So
yeah,
fantastic. And that I'm a sucker for fall color, and that fall color is pretty unbeatable. Sucker for fall color.
We're talking April showers bring April flowers. So the fall color is fantastic on it, but
up again.
But it's the white flower that we're specifically talking about right now for this, adding that extra bit of color into your potentially into your landscape for that early April color. So.
And my take on the scent of the flower is green banana, unripe banana.
Yep. So
That's me.
fabulous scent.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not, fragrant viburnum, but it has its own unique musk.
Yeah, for sure. Musk. I like that. Yeah, it's a good one.
So yeah, you know what? We're going to wrap up with a shrub. And
do you know what shrub it is? Do you know what I'm thinking?
Yeah, because we haven't done a whole lot of shrubs today. This might be the only true shrub
that
we've done today. And, hence shrubby buddies. So we have to talk about a shrub, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, Daddy Gila, a.k.a. Father Gila, or it could be the other way around. But was that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love this plant.
Yeah.
Father Gila, don't listen to me. It's not Daddy, but Father, F-O-T-H-E-R, pronounced Father Gila. Not native.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Probably, in my opinion, one of the more underused shrubs in the landscape, because the more and more I use it and see it, I realize it's tough as nails. I think 20 years ago, when I was first learning about this plant in college, I was thinking, man, this is kind of tough to grow, but it's not. I haven't had any trouble with it.
Yeah, I think it just has to be, like anything, sited in the right place. I mean, I don't know that I would plant Father Gila, next to a super busy street, in that, hell strip and some real shitty clay, heavy soil that just gets a bunch of salt spraying,
But I would have this on the south, west, east, and north side of my house and have no problems with it. It's pretty versatile. And when we're talking about our April flowers, it is in full bloom right now, in full glory. And just imagine a pipe cleaner, like you might go twist it up back in elementary school. But it's fat. It's short and fat.
A short, fat pipe cleaner.
White pipe cleaner that's short and fat. And, just putting it in pipes and cleaning them out.
Yeah.
And that's what it looks
like. That's what I do with my Father Gila. Clean out the pipes.
Clean the pipes out.
Yep.
Good point. I might have to give that a try.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous in bloom. And a lot of these April plants, they bloom prior to foliage. And I think that makes them special because there's no foliage to obstruct the view of the bloom. So they really stand out. And they sure do. This plant is in the same family as witch hazel and Perodia, and it used to be sweet gum, but I feel like the botanists moved that around, but we'll just say it for the sake
know that.
It.
Yeah.
And Coreopsis, and something that these all share is the fall color. And again, we're talking about April right now, but the fall color is tremendous.
Yeah, it really is.
It's hard to beat in a shrub. It kind of has that sweet gum-esque fall color where you've got yellow, orange, burgundy, purple, all in the same plant, and then it might fade to just burgundy or start just yellow. I mean, it's just, it's fantastic, and it's very slow growing. So a lot of people were like, I just want a shrub that's 3 to 4 feet by 3 to 4 feet and doesn't get any bigger. Well, that doesn't happen. That's not a thing. The plants don't really follow their labels, and we should probably do a show on plant labels and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a slow plant, so it's not just going to outgrow your space overnight. You're going to be able to kind of keep it in check and keep it where you want it.
Yeah, you'll be able to maintain it for sure.
So,
for years to come. Yeah, it's a great one.
Yep. So Father Gila, Daddy Gila, everybody, Father's Day is coming up in June. Great gift for your dad. Give him a Daddy Gila.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Lots of good cultivars too.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I like Blue Shadow.
In Mount Airy.
Mm-hmm. What's the one, isn't there a new one? There's another new one out, something. I don't know.
Well, just to piggyback on that, Blue Shadow. Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So blue foliage, kind of like how a blue spruce.
Steel blue foliage is what I like to call it. Steel blue. Yeah, you go with sky blue on the
I'll agree with
Vernera. I'm going to go with steel blue foliage on Father Gila.
And what's great is you still get good fall color, because you often don't get the great fall color when you start changing these foliage colors.
You know what I love too is with that blue foliage in the fall, when it starts getting that fall color, is like some of those leaves are still blue and some of them are like red or some are orange, and it's just that cool, like that transition from summer foliage to fall foliage on them is just a real banger,
Thanks, nature.
Yeah, thanks, nature.
Thank you.
So, sweet. So, yeah, that's our plant list. So these are all plants. These are just some plants that we've used, we have experience with, that we like. And we think, if you find yourself in the nursery or the garden center, this spring, one thing that people, it's super easy to get color like May, June, July, August, September, there's so many options for color and interest that time of the year. But what we tend to forget about sometimes when planning a garden is 4 seasons of interest, and that's something that we really, really like to hit home on, is like all 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. But like specifically in spring, like that early season stuff sometimes hard to hit on. So that's kind of what these plants are. Some stuff that's going to inject some color, some interest into your garden for this time of the year when other things are slow to wake up. These ones are awake and doing their thing while the other ones are still sleeping. So that's kind of what this list is all about.
Off and running early, and you go to the garden center maybe on Mother's Day, and these things you're not going to notice them. So get out there and get those in April.
Yeah, for sure. And
or wait till no one else buys them, and then wait till they're on sale and then buy them.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. So, and we're gonna post some pictures of some of this stuff.
Ooh, on the gram?
We'll do a little Instagram post of some. Not all of these. We can't fit them all on there, but we'll go through and we'll find some of these.
We have an Instagram?
We do. Shrubby Buddies Podcast, all one word, lowercase.
Don't forget that.
Yeah, at Shrubby Buddies Podcast. That's SHRUBBY BUDDIES PODCAST, Shrubby Buddies Podcast, all lowercase, all one word. Give us a follow. We'll post pictures of some of the stuff that we talk about weekly on the podcast. We'll post pictures on there for you guys to see.
Yeah, for sure. Because when we were first starting to talk about this podcast and I started preparing my mind, what dawned on me, and this is probably obvious, but is that they can't see anything.
Yeah.
So I could say this, but I have to be very vivid with my explanations, and I will be.
Yeah.
We'll use the Instagram as just a little bit of a helper.
A channel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll channel our descriptions to the Instagram.
They'll all be authentic. No screenshots or downloads from there.
Yeah, we're gonna. We're going to try and be as authentic as we can, and provide pictures of stuff that we're personally growing in our gardens or in our work gardens. But yeah, so give us a follow on the Instagram. Maybe if we get more than 7 or 8 people listening to this podcast someday, we'll, we're talking a big game. We're talking like podcasts worldwide, your Shrubby Buddies worldwide. We're going to reach every nook and cranny of the world with this thing. And if that happens, then maybe we'll get a website going where we can post, this stuff with more like with the plant list details and stuff that you can download. But for now, we're just going to do the gram. So give us a follow. But you got anything else you want to wrap up with?
I don't have anything more to add. I think that was fantastic.
Okay.
I love you and I love you all.
Yeah. I love you harder +2. I win.
Yep.
So
that you do, but you don't.
Okay.
That's not true.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to the first episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry if we rambled a little bit too much on some of this stuff. We'll see how that goes in the weeks to come. Like I said, this is a learning curve for us. So stick with us. It's only going to get better. I hope you all are having a fantastic week, and we look forward to you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye now.